right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. Today's guest I have known for many, many years. My God, probably almost a decade. Throughout these years, I've seen him grow his agency into a force to be reckoned with. His agency specializes actually in working with companies who operate on Amazon. Since 2000, he's had different experience watching Amazon transition and grow and evolve. He's helped obtain over 400,000 positive reviews on Amazon. He's also helped people get over 575,000 on eBay. The way that he does things is very unique too. He's got a warehouse in the back to be able to help clients and managing their Amazon inventory and sales and so forth. They've done over 200,000 Amazon listings, over 250 million in sales. The reason why I really wanted to bring this gentleman on today's call is because unless you've actually done anything on Amazon before, even if you have done something on Amazon, it's kind of like this black hole. People really don't understand how to effectively market on Amazon. And even if they do market on Amazon, more times than not, they're doing it wrong. Even the big companies leaving money on the table. So because we know a lot of our listeners have products that either they'd like to get on Amazon, not sure if they should be on Amazon, or are on Amazon and maybe want to figure out ways to make more money, I thought you'd enjoy this conversation with the CEO of Marketplace Valet, Will Land. Welcome to the show, my
Thank you
friend.
so much, Charles. Great to be here. Hello, everybody.
Let's just start with, why should somebody be on Amazon?
That's one of my favorite questions, honestly. And if you're not on Amazon, who is? Somebody's taking your traffic. I think it's like 52% of all shopping starts on Amazon. I talk to a lot of companies that are like, no, we just want to keep all of our customers in our own ecosystem, our own .com. We're real heavy into our social advertising and things like that. And then you go over to Amazon, you type in that brand on Amazon, and here comes dozens of pages of lookalikes, comparable products, things like that. And if you're like me, I'm an Amazon shopper. I just always have been. I like the experience. Even if I like a brand a lot, I'm going to go over to Amazon and search for it first. So I know, at least with me in my agency, what we do is, one of the first things we do is, when a brand comes to work with us, one of the first things I do is I look up all their competitors that aren't on Amazon, and I buy up all their keywords for pennies, right? Like, if their competitors aren't going to be there, I might as well just drive that traffic right to my clients. And that's kind of the big reason. It's a big defensive move. Should it be your bread and butter? I don't believe so. As a big brand, it should be a part of your revenue, but it shouldn't own your revenue, right? You should always own your customer, own your brand, own the experience. But look, at the end of the day, people are going to search for Amazon on your brand time and time again. If you're driving brand awareness, and you know that at least 50% of the shoppers are going to be on Amazon, if you're not there, you're probably driving awareness for a competitor or for somebody else. And there's a lot of folks out there, we usually call them like fast follows, that are just waiting there. They know if you're not on Amazon, they go and they buy up all your keywords and then optimize their listings to look similar to your products. And then they take them and win. And you're driving revenue to people that just make a buck and perhaps don't care about the brand as much as you do.
I have a lot of coaching clients that sell on Amazon, and I tell them, you don't want to be dependent on Amazon, which I think you'll agree. You don't want to be dependent on Amazon. But one of the things that you said, and this is the most important thing that I want our listeners to pick up on, is that you have to be where your buyers are. And you might not like Amazon, whatever that might be. You might not like it, but at the end of the day, your buyers are going to Amazon. And the statistics show that the overwhelming majority of buyers will start their buyer's journey on Amazon. So are you willing to take the risk that your brand and your product is so strong that if they're going to search on Amazon, that they're not actually going to buy a competitor or an alternative, that they're actually going to bounce and go back to your website? Or would you rather have your product listed on Amazon? And the thing is, when you list your product on Amazon, what you may find is that's where they start the buyer's journey, but then their next purchase and the subsequent purchase might actually be directly through your website or go directly, not necessarily buying everything on Amazon. A lot of first purchases might happen on Amazon.
I've seen it go both ways. We're obviously an Amazon agency, but we also do a lot of .com fulfillment. So I see both sides of the coin. We had a really unique experience where one of our clients got mentioned on the Real Housewives of Orange County or Beverly Hills, I can't remember. And because we did their .com fulfillment and their Amazon fulfillment, we saw that 55% of the sales went to Amazon and 45% went to their website. Even though the website was mentioned on the show, it was such a weird kind of eye-opening moment for me. And that was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. But I mean, they sold out of every single product on both sides. But I definitely see a lot of ways where you can bring in a new to brand customer through Amazon, get them associated with your brand, and then yeah, they'll go to your .com and buy. It's going to be whatever is convenient and where they feel more comfortable. So I guess to answer your question, it can go both ways. You can use Amazon as a lead gen for new to brand customers and convert them eventually over to a .com buyer, or vice versa. I guess at the end of the day, it's just so important to be on both.
Now, what industries would you say? So, if our listeners are saying, should I be on Amazon or should I not? Like, when does it make sense to be on Amazon and when does it make sense to not be on Amazon?
So that's a great question. I get this one a lot. So I think from a brand's perspective, and then I think that if you have a brand that you are known just for your brand, take a Louis Vuitton, for example, you don't need to be on Amazon. I wouldn't be on Amazon.
Probably would tarnish
I
Louis
would think
Vuitton.
so. They have a huge
Yeah.
portfolio of other brands and stuff, though, that, some of the lower dollar items on there. But someone that's looking for a Louis Vuitton item, obviously it's a higher end consumer and they want that experience. That's why they want the
Yeah.
brand. It's not a commodity for them.
They don't want an alternative. You could throw an alternative in front of them and it's not going to tempt
No,
them.
I mean, the experience is going into the store, feeling that little bit of rouge and feeling the warm and fuzzies and going through that whole experience of making that purchase. And I get that, like someone like Louis Vuitton, they've got a lot of clout and they've built a big, big brand. But, something like that, no way. I wouldn't go near Amazon. You
Yeah.
truly are giving your customers to Amazon in that case. I think it's rare to find that you're going to find someone that's looking for a woman's purse and they go, oh, this one looks nice. And it just happens to be a Louis Vuitton and they buy it. That's not really going to happen here. When a brand wants to be on Amazon, it's because they're looking for new to brand customers. They've kind of not necessarily exhausted a lot of their traditional advertising methods, but it's like, let's use our brand name, build up some reviews, and then start, trying to use some of the generic search terms to get even more customers in our belts.
So if somebody was then looking up, say, Nike socks, then would you
I
say, I
absolutely
mean, that's a little, right?
That's much different, and in a sense that, like, there's probably more search terms for men's socks or running socks or socks, and then they come across Nike and they're like, oh, I like Nike, I'll purchase those, and so Nike can acquire those new to brand customers there.
But even if they go to Nike socks, let's pretend that they weren't on Amazon. Is the brand so strong that the consumers would be like, I only wear Nike socks, I don't care? Or they'll look at these other socks and be like, ooh, that one actually looks
I
good.
think, yeah, no, I don't think that Nike has a enough stronghold in the socks section to be able to have just, standalone on their site and in their stores and in Foot Lockers and things like that, that it would definitely behoove them to be doing well on Amazon.
So that's actually a really important criteria. So one criteria is your brand so strong that even if somebody was to present a competitor or an alternative in front of you, that people want the brand so much so that they're not going to be tempted. They're going to go right for the brand. Or is your brand in such a way that if somebody puts a competitor in front of you, your market might be tempted? And if you're saying like you've got some real competition that might lose out to price, you might lose out to quality or convenience or selection or any number of things, you better damn well be on
Yeah,
Amazon.
absolutely. Like, look, take the Air Jordans. I don't think they need to be on Amazon. They have their own little clout. But you take a basic running shoe, absolutely. People are going to be searching for running shoes. So a lot of times, what I see is, especially with luxury brands or higher end brands, we divide up the catalog and you establish a good, better, best model. Where the best, you're the cream of the crop. Maybe they are not on Amazon. Maybe you save them on your .com. But the general commodities, depending on category, yeah, they got to be there.
Recently, I saw that One Medical is now on Amazon, which I thought was fascinating. I know that you can buy all sorts of plumbing supplies and so forth in different areas on Amazon. Amazon is covering a landscape of so many. That speaks to the importance of making sure that you have a brand and a super strong unique advantage point. I mean, that part is absolutely critical. Is there anything else other than, you talked about brand, you talked about ultra luxury, probably Amazon's not the best. Is there anything else that somebody should consider maybe not getting on Amazon?
I would maybe not necessarily not getting on Amazon unless you got so much clout that you don't need to be. I think then there becomes another decision, and that's the 1P, the vendor central route, where you're selling wholesale to Amazon. Amazon decides the price and resells it for you, or the third party route, which is through Seller Central. This is where you are the seller of record. So with Amazon vendor, it's very traditional B2B model. I sell it to you, you sell it for whatever you want, and there I made my money on the wholesale, and we're done there. On the Seller Central route, which generally I recommend, I'm going to say generally because this doesn't work for everyone in all cases, but you control your price, you control so many aspects of your business. So as being as a seller of record, it's like having your own little store on Amazon versus selling it to Amazon and having them dictate what's happening with your brand. And I think this is where it becomes a really interesting point, especially for brands that brands need to look out for. When you're selling to Amazon, and say you got a $70 pair of jeans, right? That's your market, that's your brand, that's what you're selling. If you sell it to Amazon, Amazon could go and now start selling for $40. Now, then what happens to your .com? It's going to tank. What happens to any, retail stores you have? It's all going to go down. So if you need to control your MSRPs, your maps, things like that, which most brands are pretty aware of, you got to go to the Seller Central route so you have control.
Amazon won't agree to any maps or anything?
No, I've never seen them. They will say that they are price followers, not price setters. But what does that really mean? If you really pull back the onion there, they'll look at any competitive product and price match whatever they think. They have tons of, and I'm talking on the Amazon vendor, the 1P route. They will find whatever criteria they feel is necessary to make the selling decisions as far as price goes. Seller Central, for the most part, you control that 100%. And I've seen a lot of big brands suffer in many, many ways with selling on 1P. I'll give you a really great example of a client we worked. They're very well known in the Bluetooth speakers industry. When they came to us, they were selling directly to Amazon 1P, Amazon vendor, and then they were also in like places like Sharper Image. They were in Best Buy. They were in a lot of other stores. What Amazon had done is they had their, I think their MSRP was like $89.99. Amazon was selling the products for about $69.99. So let's look at this whole chain of events that happens. So now their .com starts going down because everyone's buying on Amazon. Amazon sales are going up. Keep in mind, they're just getting wholesale prices selling to Amazon minus all the clawbacks that Amazon gets. What now? Sharper Image, Best Buy are now coming to the brand and saying, well, wait, we need a better price because you're holding us to this MSRP, but Amazon's got it for $30 cheaper. We're not moving your products. And so what ended up happening is Best Buy, Sharper Image, and some of the other retailers started putting them in the back in the clearance section. So you're trying to have a standout brand, and when it's all circulated around price, and there's no pricing parities, your brand suffers. And so what we ended up doing is we converted this brand from the 1P model to the 3P model. We reestablished their MSRPs on Amazon, Sharper Image, Best Buy. Everybody stopped, and all the other resellers out there stopped complaining. They started to gain their clout, and they 7x the revenue the next year. They got deals with Costco and things like that. It's the quickest way to deteriorate your brand is by not controlling MAP. MSRP. So just being very conscious of, there's some case scenarios where the 1P route works great. Say Crayola. or Bic pens. Do we really care if we pay $4 or $6 for a pack of pens or crayons or whatever? No, you just need them. And you don't really need to control your map pricing on a pack of pens or crayons, right? It would be nice, but it's not as necessary. Plus, margins are so thin once you take into account shipping and seller fees and stuff like that. Like, just go 1P on that. Let 1P do what it does best and blow the stuff out at great prices.
Let me ask you, on Amazon, when you're going to go through third party, now you're responsible for shipping. What are some best practices for different inserts that you can add into that shipment, or maybe labels, things you can add to the labels that are considered strategic and a good move for the brand itself?
Yeah, so I'm going to preface this by saying I follow every single rule. I don't break rules.
Amazon's one of those people that you don't want to break
Nope, nope.
rules.
I would never advise any of my clients to break rules. I don't do that. I think that the one way around it is clearly just having your website on your packaging. No, don't offer any discounts. Come to the website, get 20. Don't do that. Don't even think about that. Think about when your products sit on a shelf at Target or Walmart, and every single one of those products has a website on it. I think there's some gray area as far as like what I've seen done semi-successfully is people putting like registration cards. You register your product for a warranty, and obviously you're doing that via QR code or online. And can you capture their email address through the warranties? Sure. With privacy policies and things like that, you got to be really careful. But it's something I have seen done semi-successful. I'm not a big advocate of bending any of their policies for sure, because they will turn off your account, they'll block you, and your Amazon days are bye bye. I've had so many people come to me being like, "Help me get my account turned back on." I'm like, "Well, what'd you do?" "Well, I had inserts in my thing telling them 20% off. I had a lottery ticket that they scratched, and they got $50 off if they came to my website." I'm like, "Well, you can't do that. That's just a big no." If any listeners are doing that, please stop. It will catch up to you.
Well, that's good to know, because it's true that if you're going to take business away from Amazon, they're going to come back and they're going to be upset. On the flip side of the coin, when you have a brand so strong and you know who your buyers are and you're constantly retargeting to those buyers and so forth, that's something that you can help strengthen the brand, especially for the first time buyers that may have just stumbled across your product and they see it over and over again. I know that you warehouse a number of different products. Why that is, because some of the companies that you warehouse for, they're big companies. Some of them have warehouses already, but they're still sending it over to you as well. So what's the strategy behind
First of all, let me take a step back. And we started talking about shipping best practices. I think anybody who sells on Amazon or is familiar with Amazon know about FBA, Prime, things like that. But I will say getting products into Amazon warehouse is not as simple as sending products to like a distributor. And so to answer your question, we work with some pretty large brands that have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of square feet of warehousing. They're distributing to fulfillment centers, they're distributing to big vendors. They have huge operations, truckloads going out all over the time. But what they're not great at is, and what just becomes noise and a headache, is the redistribution to the FBA facilities. I always call our warehouse kind of our turtle shell. It's one of these things that like we have it down pat. We've been selling on Amazon since 506, maybe before that. And we've been working with FBA since inception. When you have these massive warehouses, good with distribution, you try to create these fulfillment orders going to the Amazon FBA. Amazon's going to start to dictate, okay, you need to send this many case packs here to this location. Here's these across the country on the East Coast. Here's some in the Midwest. And for the most part, for these big companies, that's too much to handle. Also, you got to make sure your labeling is correct. So you can't just send in products, not all the time, just with the UPC that's on the product. Sometimes they need to be relabeled. There's certain, dimensions that pallets need to be, things like that. It's a whole lot to try to train, a warehouse that's already been doing it for so long to do it a different way, just to cater towards Amazon. Labeling the pallets certain ways, printing out all that stuff, it can be quite noisy. And for us, it's like we try to just fit in with their normal way of doing business. We don't want to interfere. We just want to help. So all those truckloads that you send out to Dick's Sporting Goods or whatnot, just send us one of those trucks. We'll break it down. We'll figure out all the FBA stuff for you. We don't have to inconvenience your warehouse. And I always say, you do what you do best. We'll do what we do best, and we'll just make some money together. So, and then kind of along those same lines is, all right, picture a 600,000 square foot warehouse. They're not great at getting one order out the door. They're doing truckloads. So at the same time, our warehouse is a direct to consumer warehouse where we do pick to small orders. So we can fulfill those onesie, twosie orders for you. Where if you can imagine someone driving a golf cart around 1,000,000 square feet trying to find one item to ship it out the door, it's just not effective. So we take on the FBM route, fulfillment by merchant route, for them as well. And
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Let's go back to Amazon for a second. We talked about how a lot of companies, including big brands, are doing Amazon wrong. So, what would you say are the top 3 most common mistakes that you see companies making that they don't realize that they're
oh
making?
man, this is an easy one. We're onboarding someone right now, and they're doing it completely wrong, and we're fixing it for them.
What size company roughly is this that is doing it wrong?
I'm going to say their annual revenue total holistically is about 500 million, somewhere around there. So their titles have no keywords in them. It is brand, our part number, and what we call it. I'm like, you're only going to pick up customers that are looking for your brand. You're not going to be in any other organic searches. And so that's problem number one is, and Charles, you talk about this all the time, is market message match. If somebody's looking for Nike shoes and Nike only has Nike Air Jordans and then their part number. Now, Nike's a big enough name where this could possibly happen, but where's the shoes? Where's the high tops? Where's the for men? You're missing so many of these important keywords. I don't think it's a big secret, but it's how I think about it and how I operate is for the bigger brands, use the big brand names to get all those early in customers. But at the same time, you've optimized your listing, your content, so that you're able to pick up these new. So when somebody's searching just for shoes or basketball shoes, you're going to show up. So I think number one is people just think about only what their brand title says, like on their Shopify store or whatnot. You can't do that. You got to have those necessary keywords in there, men's, women's, more descriptive things. That's number one. Number two, and this always drives me nuts. They go and they have these mediocre product detail pages, ASINs or pages for their products, and they dump a ton of money into advertising. Now, there's a lot of good advertising agencies out there. There's a lot of good advertisers out there, but your advertising will only work as well as your listing. Yeah. So, there's something in Amazon with Amazon ads. It's an auto campaign, really basic. Amazon kind of picks and chooses where they show your products in search. But Amazon only knows where to show your products based on your content. So if you have poor content, Amazon's not going to show you, show it to.
It's like traditional SEO, but Amazon SEO.
Right. It's all the same thing. That's number two mistake. Number three, I'm seeing more and more newer sellers on Amazon, newer brands on Amazon. They understood like, oh, I need to be on Amazon, so I'm going to go there, and they're just not using FBA. And I get it. Like there's been a lot of price hikes recently, things like that. But if you look at the conversion rates for FBA versus non-FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, and they're doing the fulfillment themselves, which is fine. But if you're really going to expect a lot from Amazon, you got to go all in. You got to have good content. Once you have good content, you have to run good ads. Once you have good ads, you have to have deliverables. Like you got to be able to meet the expectations. I mean, that's the 1, 2, 3 combo right there.
Reviews tend to make a big difference as to whether or not a brand sells or not. I know myself, if I look at something and I'm like, this one has 314 reviews, but this one has 9.
I'm so happy you mentioned that because that's probably a close number 4 is people think I need to figure out a way to get 15,000 reviews because I'll rank higher if I have more reviews. And that's a myth. This is really important. It's a myth in a sense that when you look at Amazon's algorithm and how it basically works, Amazon wants to make money. How do they make money? They show people what they're typing in. They want to show them what's going to show up when someone types in something. What can I show them so that they're going to buy one of the first things that they see? And that's all based off conversion. Someone types in this, they convert. So those reviews, they just help with the conversion aspect. They don't help you rank, they help with the conversion. So the more you convert on a keyword, the higher up you're going to go. So it's not a direct correlation to having reviews. Reviews definitely help that conversion, but it's not something that is actually going to make you rank high. You can't hit the ground running with 15,000 reviews on day one and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're ranking number one. That's just not how it works. It's all conversion based. There's all these little bits of conversion, having your images, having your videos, having good content, having, don't keyword stuff it, but having your content written out so it's written in languages that are conversion driven. Give them reasons to buy the product. And those review stars are just kind of that added conversion technique that really help.
That makes a lot of sense. So, Will, this is the Beyond Seven Figures podcast. So, what advice do you have for our listeners who are saying, okay, well, you know what? You convinced me. I'm interested in Amazon. Or those that say, okay, I am on Amazon. What advice do you have for them? What is your biggest, best tip for those on Amazon that want to get beyond seven figures?
Well, you could go about it two ways. You got to have a team of experts to help. I'm thinking about this for a second because I've seen this happen so many times where brands try to build an in-house team and they kind of fall forward, but not in a great way. They fall forward, they build these listings, they think they're doing everything right, but their conversion lacks. They get buried down the page really quickly. It's really important to start off on the right foot and making sure you have all the boxes checked. Everything has to be perfect out the gate because otherwise it's really hard to climb back up the organic ranks. Again, and no way trying to use any agency, but do your due diligence and make sure they're reputable. But get a team of experts to help you. To hire any one of the agencies out there is going to be more cost effective than trying to hire an in-house team. I know when we work with brands, we generally have 25 people on a brand working together to try, and everybody specializes on my team. Everybody specializes in something a little bit different, whether it's ads focused or conversion focused or FBA focused. You have these teams of experts out there. Utilize them. Don't be afraid of them. But if you don't know how to do something, find someone who does and then work with them. My favorite saying is you do what you do best, and that's usually brands creating great product. Let me do what I've been doing for 20 years, and that's all I know. And then we'll make some money together. And then everybody's rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, and the thing is, in most cases, I always tell people, like, you eventually have to move away from 1099 outsource and bring it in-house, W-2 employees. In most cases, that's the case. But there are exceptions where I always say, you know what, you're better off bringing in an agency to go ahead and do that. And one of those exceptions is Amazon. Because when you want somebody to get something done, and they might actually be experts today, and you could hire somebody, a W-2, to be an expert today. But the problem is that Amazon, much like many of the other technology companies out there, are constantly updoing their algorithms and they're changing the way that they do business. And unless the expert is able to understand what's going on, they're going to miss the boat and they're going to lag behind. And at the speed of Amazon's changes, that lag grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the most fascinating thing is that, you talked about having 25 people on one brand. It takes so much time to study and to train under all these additional changes that are happening from Amazon, just like Google and everything else on an ongoing continual basis. They would really have to spend about a third of their day every day tracking the different changes and what's going on. And not only that, I know you and I have known each other for a long time. You obsess yourself over not just, hey, what is the changes that they made today? It's what can we anticipate is going to happen tomorrow? What can we anticipate is going to end up happening next month, 60 days from now, even a year from now? Because Amazon moves so fast that when the changes happen, if you're not right there in that split second, you're falling behind. And it's very hard when you fall behind on Amazon.
You nailed it. And so to date myself, I owned a company back in '04, '05, and Amazon was one of our first big sales outlets. And this is kind of where I kind of cut my teeth on Amazon. And I did everything like I'm saying not to do right now. I've learned my lessons. I used all my own stuff, all my own content. I didn't think about it. I just put it up there and hit a great year. And then something happened. And the next year, like I hit my best year, followed by my very worst year. And it was a little change that Amazon made that I wasn't aware of. I was too busy creating product and marketing and doing those types of things to really realize that. So I was a victim of that many, many, many years back. And yeah, not only do you have algorithm changes, you have advertising changes, you've got policy changes, you got FBA policy updates. There's so many different policies. It's like you almost have to have a team of attorneys just to constantly reading through all the policies just to keep you updated. And fortunately, that's a lot of what we do is making sure that we're always playing by the books.
So here's what I'm going to suggest. If you have a company and you're already doing X amount of dollars, will tell you in a minute, but X amount of dollars, and you're sitting there and you're wondering, like, are we doing everything that we should be doing? Are we spot on? Or are there opportunities? Look, you shouldn't be guessing. My recommendation, and Will, I hope I'm not like volunteering your time or anything, but is actually to reach out to Marketplace Valet and just have them do a quick audit over your account. If that's okay with you, Will. I mean,
100%, Charles.
by the way, because I know you're not going to deal with like Etsy sellers, onesies, twosies, because that doesn't necessarily make sense. What size company makes sense really to do this?
Oh, man. That's a hard question because I like to help everybody of all sizes. But yeah, if you're doing around $1 million or more, not on Amazon, just in general, there's room for growth. I'm happy to put together not only an audit, but like a playbook. Like if it's me, here's what I would do. And I personalize it and I do it myself just because I'm a big steward of brands. So if there's something I could do to help someone just overcome some of the hurdles and humps, like just let me do it and tell you what to do. And then if it's too much work for you, then you can bring my team on board. But I definitely love to help out in any which way. Yeah, if you're doing about $1 million and you're seeing really strong momentum, whether it's on your .com, on Amazon, wherever it is in your outlet, yeah, reach out.
Dude, that is awesome. And so if people want to actually reach out to you and learn more about the work that you do, where do we send them?
Just go to my LinkedIn, send me a message.
So Will Land, that's Will Land. Send him a message over on LinkedIn. Also, you can check him out at marketplacevalet.com as well.
You can actually fill out a contact form for a playbook, what we call a playbook. It's usually about a 15 to 20 page audit that we do and tell you what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. Here's some helpful hints. And we just give it back to you and be like, here, go for it.
So, I'm a big fan of removing the overwhelm, eliminating the guesswork. We know guesswork is a cancer of all business. And so if you're wondering if you should be on Amazon, if you're currently on Amazon, wondering where you should improve, why don't you eliminate all that guesswork, that overwhelm, reach out to Will. You can Will Land over on LinkedIn or check him out at Marketplace Valet. And for additional tips, strategies, and information to take your business beyond 7 figures, check us out over at predictableprofits.com. Again, that's predictableprofits.com. This is Charles Gadet with my buddy Will Land, and I will see you in another episode.